Hello, 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 beautiful souls. This is Liz Grace Christie here with another Weekend Goddess Report. Thank you for tuning in to my channel, Galactic Mythology. Today, you will hear the forecast for the weekend of January 10th all the way through to the stroke of midnight on January 13th. However, before we dive into this weekend, I cannot help but talk about the Los Angeles wildfires that have broken out overnight. I'm recording this podcast on January 8th, and I received news through social media because, to be honest, I don't really watch network programming. My heart goes out to my friends and family who are living in LA, as well as my shock to the fact that I was literally in Pasadena just shy of 10 days ago. I caught a train in LAX at the Union Station there to go to Arizona on December 29th. And before I was in Union Station that day, I was at the LA Arboretum leading a discussion on Pluto and Aquarius to the Fun Astrology podcast listeners. We had a meetup there I guess it's been 2 Sundays ago. Time is a little warped for me because I've been traveling so much and I've really have only been here in Portland for the last 3 days. I'm a bit shocked. I'm also feeling a little blessed that I was in LA or in the area over a week ago instead of last night. However, truly my heart goes out and I'm sending so much love and healing to that area. I grew up about 3 hours north of LA in the Central Coast, and I visited LA often, and I was just there sending love. And with that in mind, I do plan to discuss this coming weekend, January 10th through January 13th. But I couldn't help but look at some of the astrology for January 7th going into January 8th today, where I'm recording this podcast. I feel like the story really starts on this last Monday, which was January 6th. When we had this first quarter moon phase in Aries. The first quarter moon phase is a phase that implies a crisis, or rather the start of a crisis. It also could be metaphorically seen in a woman who is bearing a child. This would be the stage where she would actually start to show her pregnancy. So we could also consider first quarter moon phase being a point when something becomes visible or unavoidable. The first quarter moon phase sets the path to the full moon phase, which we will have on this next coming Monday the 13th. We'll have a full moon in Cancer because we are in the season of Capricorn. Oh, and earlier today, January 8th, the day that I'm recording this, the planet Mercury, the sacred trickster, ingressed from the sign of Sagittarius into the sign of Capricorn around 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This implies during the start of the wildfires in Los Angeles, Mercury was at the Anaretic degree of Sagittarius. Another planet that was hanging out at the Anaretic degree of another sign was Mars. Mars retrograde in Cancer at the 29th degree. These 2 signs, Cancer and Sagittarius, are in conjunct one another. This means they're invisible to the eye, which is somewhat ironic considering the moon on Monday meant unavoidable visibility. So this opposition of implications suggests friction. Now, I'm sure there's some of you sitting there scratching your head being like, what is an anaretic degree and what the heck does that have to do with 29 degrees? Well, an anaretic degree has to do with every single sign of the zodiac at the 29th degree. It's the last degree of the sign. It is considered to be a transition point, a tension point, and a point of culmination. It is a snapping point in some ways, and in other ways, it is seen as the last chance that that sign has to get any sort of expression out that it needs. Of course, specific to the sign's element and energy. And on January 7th into January 8th, 2025, when these sporadic Los Angeles wildfires occurred, Mercury was at the Anaretic degree of Sagittarius at 29 degrees. and Mars retrograde in Cancer was sitting in conjunct at 29 degrees. They're both anaretic, and they're both on their last leg. However, Mars is going backwards. So the energy coming off of Mars is similar to the La Brea tar pits, the dinosaur tar pits, a place where creatures from 50,000 years ago have been very well preserved and fossilized due to the asphalt-like tar that is in the La Brea tar pits. And for those of you that don't know, the La Brea tar pits are located in the Los Angeles area. Mars in Cancer for us in our skies today and throughout the weekend and to the full moon on Monday, January 13th, can be seen as a giant prehistoric crustacean at the very bottom of this La Brea tar pit, yet to be discovered and almost unfathomable in size. It's been lurking in the depths for quite some time. This weekend and this last week leading up into this weekend have very karmic flavors to them. Pedaling back to January 6th, we had a first quarter square moon in Aries around the 15th degree, and she found herself not alone. She found Chiron just 4 degrees away in the 19th degree of Aries. Chiron has to do with deep wounds, and once we address deep wounds or confront prehistoric crabs at the bottom of the La Brea tar pit, we will have the opportunity to properly cleanse. So this crisis moon stage is only setting up the works for us to go into this Cancer full moon on Monday. Hopefully the wildfires in LA will cease sooner than the occurrence of this Cancer full moon. However, I do feel that if Luna is shining her bright Cancerian light over Los Angeles on Monday, she will be sending waves of soothing waters. Soothing waters, hopefully not just in the form of tears from the eyes of people who have lost many things in the fire, pets, loved ones, and really their whole entire life is turned upside down. My heart goes out to you all. Allow yourself to feel the pain you are experiencing. Cancer is all about the feelings. Oh my goodness, there's just so much to talk about today. Did I mention that this Cancer full moon is also conjunct retrograde Mars? So, I'm sorry folks, but there's absolutely no more running away. This is reality, and this is a new reality. One that no one in physical existence today has ever experienced before. And it's challenging. It's challenging to step into a new form. And us humans, I don't know if you knew this, we don't really like change. So these changes, these disasters, this new way of being is literally being pushed onto us as a species. It is making us react, and it is making us quite literally change our frequencies. On top of that, Los Angeles is never going to look the same after 2025. It is well known that the fire risks are typically very high in Los Angeles year-round. However, unfortunately, the fire warning in our cosmos around the same time was very high as well. These anaretic degrees of Cancer and Sagittarius sitting at an inconjunct from one another didn't have to go this way. However, it did, because the energy supported something blowing up to an extent that it could no longer be ignored. Astrology can only give us a suggestive glimpse into the future, and it is an art that accounts for the concept of free will. Therefore, when someone's giving you an astrology reading, they can talk to you about the energies that make up your chart, from the weaknesses and the strengths, and it is up to you as an individual born under that natal chart to distinguish yourself in the strengths of a specific sign, or you could distinguish yourself in the weaknesses of that specific sign. With that being said, the aspect of this inconjunct shared between Cancer and Sagittarius at the anaretic degree didn't have to go this way. However, there seems to be currents in our collective consciousness and in the energetic field that surrounds our Earth. And I would actually encourage those, if you're listening and you're a practicing astrologer who works with astrocartography, run a chart for LA with these dates, January 7th and January 8th. 2025 in that astrocartography and see what happens with LA. I'm very curious if there is any more energetic clues that give us hints sense as astrologers to this energy and the events that are occurring in LA at this time. Once I catch some downtime, I will go ahead and do my own astrocartography investigations over these LA wildfires. And I'd love to compare notes. So if you do end up generating some charts, share in the comments what you discover. Speaking of professional astrology and astro consultations, I'm doing something very special. I'm giving away 11 30-minute astrology consultations for free. Yes, 11 30-minute astrology consultations at no charge. How this works is you will go to my website, www.galacticmythology.com. At the top of my website, you will see a banner with a button that says sign up. Click that button and it will open up a separate page, which will take you to my booking website, calendly.com. Once there, please fill out the form that is in front of you and click submit. Furthermore, on January 17th, next week, I will send out emails to everyone who filled out that form and inform you if you have won. Anyone that signs up will be receiving an email from me on January 17th, next Friday. And maybe if it's not too complicated, I'll do a shout out on next weekend's episode for the winners of this giveaway. Yes, so the signups are going to start on January 11th, 2025, Saturday. So depending on when you are listening to this podcast, you might still stand a chance at winning a 30-minute consultation with me, Lizz Grace Christie. Oh my goddess, y'all. We are not even halfway through this report yet, and we're already 11 minutes in. This is crazy. I haven't even introduced my first asteroid goddess, and this is the weekend goddess report and all. So without further ado, let's introduce asteroid goddess Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena is currently in the sign of Capricorn, and on Monday, January 6th, that time when we all experienced the first quarter square moon, Pallas Athena found herself in a square aspect to that Aries first quarter square moon. Okay, so let's dive right on into the background of goddess Pallas Athena. So, Miss Pallas Athena is a daddy's girl, to say the least. Her mythology boasts of procreation without the feminine. In fact, the myth goes that Pallas Athena was born from Zeus's forehead. Pallas Athena is seen as a non-traditional femme in the Greek pantheon. She is asexual, that is, she is to remain virgin, which is very unique in the god and goddess world. The only other virgins on the scene are the Vestal virgins, also known as Vesta's priestesses. Beyond that, the female qualities that Athena values have to do beyond the physical senses, considering everything I just said. I imagine her being born from around the third eye area of Zeus's head. Pallas Athena is a goddess of wisdom and strategy, along with foresight. The lead priestess of Athena, a very popular character known as Medusa, before Medusa was cursed with the snakes on her head. In fact, Athena is the one responsible for giving her that hairstyle. Trigger warning, how that went down: Athena discovered Poseidon defiling her sacred temple. Defiling it by having intercourse with Medusa. Medusa at this time was a beautiful maiden, not a Gorgon, and actually not consensual to this intercourse with Poseidon. However, that did not really matter to Athena. Medusa was no longer a virgin, and she was doing a disgraceful act in Athena's temple. Big no-no. Medusa was turned exile and made into the infamous monster that we know her as today. Now that that brief story and background on Pallas Athena is out of the way, we can dive into the synthesis of that mythology with the astrology of this weekend. Essentially, the big takeaway is there is a lot more going on out there than meets the physical eye. There are malevolent and benevolent forces beyond our five senses at play here. In exile, Medusa would be slain by Perseus, who was assisted by Athena with a shield and sword. Perseus cut off the head of Medusa. Beyond that, Perseus harvested the blood that was squirting out of Medusa's severed body, and that blood would go on to be used by Chiron and Asclepius. Chiron being our wounded healer, and Asclepius being the mythological man responsible for modern medicine, particularly Western modern medicine. If you are familiar with the symbol of the caduceus, two snakes wrapped around a rod, the rod is Asclepius's, and the two snakes could be seen as Medusa's blood. Asclepius can be found in our zodiac if you do study the 13-sign zodiacal wheel. You can find Asclepius in the constellation of Ophiuchus, a constellation nestled between Scorpius and Sagittarius. The constellation Ophiuchus is seen as a man wrestling a snake or a man taming a snake. This weekend, I encourage you to look beyond the surface. Remember the La Brea tar pits and the prehistoric crustacean at the very bottom? Maybe that monster's not so bad. If we can perceive through all the muck and get to that monster and resurrect it, we may find a cure. This weekend is a great weekend to go against the grain. Be yourself and trust your inner higher knowing. We are being asked to sit with our pain, to observe the world around us, and to allow the solutions to come through. All of us are tapped into the world of the unseen. Things that may appear as disasters are en route to new beginnings, ones that are born from our imaginations. Cancer is associated with our unconscious, the moon, and ancestral patterns. We are going through a moment to course correct from our families, from the past, and into the future. As I said earlier, the universe is forcing the human species to take a new shape. So relax and allow the process to unfold before you, even if it's terrifying. Trust in yourself, trust in a higher power, and I'll see you next weekend. Don't forget to sign up for my free astrology consultation giveaway. Yes, 30 minutes free with me. Sign up start January 11th. Good luck, y'all. So much love and peace on earth.